on a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. With your hosts, YWCA Executive Director Karen Bell Darcy and YWCA Associate Director Maisha Essex. You're listening to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts.
All right, welcome back in. We got to get those names fixed. Sorry, that's a couple times now where we've had that. So Karen is not here though, so at least you didn't have to hear her name mispronounced. Right. But they got Maisha Essex right. So Maisha, I'll bring us in. If you guys want to join in, we're streaming only right now. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Allo, Channel 961. All great ways to put a face to the voice. You can comment through there as well. Also, we'll keep that Sorry Heyman text line open for you. 402-464-5685. Maisha, the host, as always, I'll throw it to you, and then we got plenty of things we got to dive into today.
Yes, thank you, Harrison. As you said, Karen is not here today, so I am going to try and hold it down for the YWCA, and hopefully we can have some great conversations here. So I had a chance to go to the football game yesterday, so congratulations to the Huskers on such an amazing defeat. But it really got me thinking about community because we saw of course, it was a sold out, packed out stadium.
Yeah. Shout out volleyball too, because the connection went straight from the game all the way to go support the Husker volleyball team as well.
Yes. It was so amazing, and how much good impact that community members can have once we come together, and just the beauty of community. And so today I just wanted to talk just a little bit more about family and community engagement and what we do at the YWCA to ensure that we are doing our part when it comes to community and it comes to family, and being active within our community in support of our family. So our department really, just to put it simply, we want to make sure that families have the ability to get resources and enjoy certain programs and take advantage of certain programs for sustainability, but also to thrive. We want to make sure that we are doing our part so families can not only, again, survive or to come out of survival mode, but straight into thriving. I know that everybody here in Lincoln would love for all of our community members to say that they are thriving here. I know that is a goal of just Lincoln community in general, to say that you can come here and that you can thrive. We believe at the YWCA in it takes a village model. I know a lot of people hear that saying when we're talking about raising children, because it definitely takes a village to raise children, but we also believe it takes a village for sustainability in regards to family. Now, some of us, when we think about our village, we are fortunate enough to just say that our village, comprised of family and friends and school and maybe, church. And we can say that's enough. That's all that we need for our family to sustain and for us to get everything that we need. But then we have other members of the community, and I was also one of these families where you need a little bit more members in that village to help you thrive. And so, as the YWCA, we want to be a part of your village if you need it, and all the resources that we have. When I talk to different organizations and especially schools, and we're talking about, well, how do we connect to families? What do we need to do? And I always ask, do you know what mode your family is in right now? Right? We can be existing at the moment. We can be surviving. We can be in survival mode, or we can be in thriving mode. And depending on which mode you're in, that really navigates and guides the resources that you need at the moment. And so a lot of times with with the community resources and responses, we are responding to people who are in survival mode, who, need a lot of help. And like I said, that response is totally different. I know with my family, as I said before, I didn't know for a while that we were in survival mode. So, shout out to all the parents who are able to, kind of navigate a little bit more so that it doesn't become a stressor on the child, or it's just they're not aware of it, in respects and in regards to other family out there who they can't hide it. Right. Sometimes you just can't hide it. It's something that you have to deal with on a daily basis. And so I know that when we're talking about survival mode, it impacts a family in every aspect, especially when it comes to children. Because sometimes when you're in survival mode, that can show up as something totally different in a child. especially when they're going to school. Sometimes it can be mistaken as neglect, right? When you're in survival mode, is no, I'm not neglecting my child, but this is all that I can afford right
Yeah.
now. And especially like with hygiene, and we have a program that we have called Wholesome Hygiene, and it was actually created out of the pandemic. We had a ton of people call up and just say, "Hey, we need feminine care products," and they did not have the money to afford it. And then we received more calls, and it was like, "Oh, I also need dental hygiene and laundry and just like basic household items." That was coming up because during that time, especially again with a lot of these families who were losing their jobs, they didn't have the money,
Hmm.
to afford these things. And the money had to go to something else. It had to go to gas. It had to go to light. It still had to go to childcare if that was available during the time. And so other things were taking a hit, and they were having to decide between, am I going to get these products or am I going to pay this bill? And so we were able to create a program to respond to that and say, we're going to give the basic, hygiene and household items for these families who are in need. And it's been a great program thus far. We know that hygiene directly impacts health, it impacts opportunity, it impacts success. And so we wanted to make sure that we were doing our part in regards to that. And we've served so many people through this program. It opens up on the first of every month. You can go on like our website, ywcalincoln.org, and you can fill out an intake form, and it's a la carte. So you just pick what you need. But typically, we have to shut the program down within like the first 2 to 3 days because we have so many people who are in need of those supplies. And when we talk about this program, of course, one of the questions we always get is, well, is it just people maybe like taking advantage of the program? Like, what's the demographics of the program? Are they not working? Do they just need a job? But when we did a kind of an audit of the program and all the demographics, majority of the people who take advantage of this program are employed. They still need help. We know, as I talked about last week, that the study shows here in Lincoln that more and more both parents in the household are having to work to meet the cost of demand in regards to like housing and
Hmm.
food and just everything because it's going up. And so most people who take advantage of this program, they are employed. They just still can't afford it. And when we were coming out of the pandemic, kind of inflation hit. And
Yeah.
so it just exacerbated, and a lot of these families were barely on the line before the
Yeah,
pandemic.
they're already paycheck. I mean, the paycheck to paycheck stats across the U.S. as a whole is insane. And then you get into, you also have credit cards, maxed out, and then
Mhm.
all this stuff just piles up like crazy. So I think it's good to have something helping out those families because I agree with DP on this. Great people come from great families,
Yeah.
and you need that family unit in order to really excel at just bringing in great people into this world. So those families, anything you can do to give them a little bit of extra help, I think it's massive. I mean, that's what's going to pave the roads in the future.
It really is. And then it's also going to, when we're giving help as a community, then they're most likely to give back to their community because they
Hmm.
also received that help. And you start to create a wonderful cycle when you do that. But yeah, it just exacerbated a lot of things. We also had a lot of people call up for help during that time who never had to ask for help before. And that's just such a
It's a humbling
it
experience.
really is a
Hmm.
humbling experience, and so many people that I had to have that conversation about, and talk to and say, "Hey, it's okay that you're in this position." I mean, it's not okay. No one wants to be in this position,
Yeah, but it's
but
not
it's
like
not
your
your
fault.
fault that you're
Yeah.
in this position. And I was hoping that a lot of people who have these preconceived notions about people who need, community centers to come in and community resources to help them sustain, that this would help them see it's not always somebody's personal choice to not be able to have and not provide for
Mhm.
themselves and their family. Certain things happen in this pandemic. Again, it was a humbling experience because a lot of people called up and said, "Hey, my job just shut down. I have nothing coming in. I need help with rent and all these other things." And we were able to help them and to be there and be a part of their village. Some people in your village are there for a long time. Some people are not.
Mhm.
So we take the position that we need. And so during the pandemic, for some of those people, it was a one-time thing or a couple of times where they just needed it for this time, and we were there. And so we weren't there for a long time. We just helped, but
Mhm.
we were somebody they can call on. And then we have other members of our community that need that sustained help a little bit more so that they can get to a point of thriving, and understanding that people who are receiving these resources, they want to thrive. And I think that's also a misconception too, is that, oh, because you're helping them, they'll just continue to come back and
Mm-hmm.
continue to want to get these resources because they're free. And so they're not going to want, or they're not motivated to go out there and do something on their own. And that's just not the case at
I think
all.
they're coming back because there's a bigger problem
Because there's
at
a
hand.
right,
Mhm.
right. We're responding. As I said, a lot of times, a lot of the community resources, we're responding to what's happening. But there's a bigger cause that's uphill,
Mhm.
that needs to be connected with and dealt with and solved. And so, we do that through our advocacy work. But until that happens, because it can be a slow process for that to happen, I wish that we could all just say, hey, here is the problem, snap our fingers, there's the solution, and we're done. That would just be amazing. But it is a process. And so, until that can happen, until that process plays out, we still have members in our community that need help and that need support. And so, that's again why we're here as the YWCA, to continue to offer that. As I was saying with our wholesome hygiene program, again, it usually shuts down quickly within the first couple of days. And we've had to change the model up just so that we can serve more people. We have a lot of refugee communities that are a part of our community. And so we are a number one resource when we have either like the health department or social workers and caseworkers. They know of our program. And so they immediately say, hey, go to the YWCA and here are some things that you can get from them. So we're constantly shutting down because the need is there. But we're trying to build capacity so we can continue that. We've served so many people we started the program, I believe, in 2021 and October 2021, and we've served over 800 bags, hygiene bags, just from October of 2021. And again, this is not serving everybody that's requested because we have to shut down
Mhm.
because we have our own capacity. And so we've even went to like the model of every other month just so we can go ahead but it's still needed. And in regards to feminine care, we do not turn anybody away. So you can come monthly for that because that is a monthly process. So
Mhm.
definitely want to do that. But again, like I said, we serve so many people through that program. Most are employed. Some are actively looking for employment. And this will help in regards to like hygiene and how they show up to a job interview.
Yeah. Do you think that that stigma? It's tough to say because unfortunately, every 4 years, as we get closer to November, it feels like those
mm,
just become political
they do.
battle points when
Yep,
they really shouldn't be.
they shouldn't. Yeah.
But despite that, as we're heading this, I mean, do you feel like that stigma is getting better? Because it's hard to believe that some people are against it. I'm sure you're giving out hygiene products. If they could go buy their own nice soap, shampoo, taking in their own nice hot shower, I'm sure they'd love to do that as opposed to go getting a bag on what is available to them. Do you think that stigma is getting better where people are realizing that some of these programs really do need to be out here just to help these families out?
I think the pandemic, as we talked about, I believe it might have opened up the people's eyes to what is needed. I want to say it's getting better. We do have people who constantly, reach out to us with, support. So we have community support, especially for that program. And so, like I said, I do think it's getting better. But if you do not shine a spotlight on it, we can be fickle as just society in general.
Yeah.
So if it goes away and you're not shining a spotlight on the fact that the reason why they're still in need of these things and cannot buy them for themselves is because of the bigger picture. And so we're trying to spotlight the fact that the cost of living is just so high right now and that families are struggling all across. And I think a lot of families who weren't struggling before but find themselves looking at their bank account and find themselves almost on that paycheck to paycheck. I do believe it's opening up their eyes for them and hopefully demystifying the stigma around people who need support.
Yeah, and I think you're especially right with COVID because I think a lot of people who maybe had that kind of in their head before ended up finding themselves in those situations when their money just dried up in a hurry. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to use one of these services
I'm
who I had a stigma against before.
ex-
So I think it is one of those things that's it's unfortunate. But as the economy is kind of trying to recover right now, I think people are aware that there's just a lot of people that need help right now.
yeah, and I think a lot of people have a stigma about the people who take advantage
Hmm.
of these help, or sorry, these resources of the help, in that the word like welfare, it really gets some people.
It's a trigger word for weird reasons.
It is, and what they consider welfare. And we found a little bit that, assistance and help, it almost as if that is like categorized and that's on a hierarchy in regards to terminology. So if you say like welfare, then that looks like a certain person, right? And it looks like a certain person who lives in a certain area, and we're not associated with that. That's not what we need. We just need a little bit of assistance right now. And we're like, well, that's a little bit called welfare too. Like, that's a little bit like that's you are also, you can call it what you want. But at the end of the day, that is what, and and as a state, we accept welfare as I know we don't like that word. And when, we receive federal dollars for certain things and, that. So again, there's a stigma behind what the people look like, and what we see when we think of the word welfare, and when we think of somebody needing money or assistance or help in any form. And so I think that needs to be addressed too. And I think it was. And I believe that's why I had to have those long conversations when, somebody's asking for help and it's their first time. I really had to be like, it's okay. Like, that's what we're here for. This we help people. We help people in this situation. And it does not mean what you think it means. And again, it's because they have a picture in their head about what people who need this help look like. They're the people who can't, afford certain clothing, and they don't, afford certain hygiene products, and they live in this part of the town, and that's just not me. And they want to be on this. They choose to be on this, and that's not me. And so we would I would again have long conversations, and I'm like, it's okay. Let me fill out the form for you.
Absolutely.
Like, we can do, we're here to help. It's absolutely okay. You can use it one time. You can come back and utilize it again if you need help. But this does not mean that you are not capable. It doesn't mean that you don't want to go out and find for yourself resources to sustain yourself, or like a job. That this is not what that means. It just means that life has happened, and you are not immune to life happening.
Yeah. And your goal is to, hopefully they don't need to come back, but if they do, you're there.
We're there.
And I think people forget that part.
I think they do, again, because they believe that people who are in this situation want to be in this situation, and they're only in it because of their ethic, like their work ethic. They're only there because they're lazy and they don't want to go out. And that's not the case. We don't want that. We know that we have bigger societal issues that plays, and economic issues that plays into people having to come back. And so we just, again, want to be there, a part of your village. Like I said, it may be a little bit longer than others. It may be a short time, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you thrive.
And if they're there to help you, they want to help you, and they recognize what you guys are trying to do. Before we go to our first break here, again, we're going to keep saying it, but where can they find you?
Oh, you can find us at 5631 South 48th Street. That is our actual physical location, Suite 410. Or you can always follow us on our social media, YWCA Lincoln. Visit our website, ywcalincoln.org.
Absolutely. Definitely. If you guys want to help out, visit that website. Again, that is ywcalincoln.org. You got plenty of pages on there. You can find ways to contribute. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and throw it to our first break here. Don't go anywhere. We got two more on the YWCAR, the W, here with Maisha Essex. All right, welcome back in. Harrison Arms on the ones and twos. As always, we got Maisha. Karen is out today, but no worries. We'll keep it rolling as always. If you guys want to join in, like I said before, use the streams, and the Sartor Hamann text line still available to you. House cleaning out of the way. Throw it back to the host, Maisha Essex.
Yes. So we just, before the break, just talked a little bit about, us showing up as part of, People's Village for community and sustainability, to help others thrive. But I just want to tell you a little bit more about how we do that. So some of the programs that we have with our family and community engagement. We talked about the Wholesome Hygiene Program and how that's directly related, of course, to health, but also to certain people getting jobs and just all that comes with that. But we also have a program called Employee 402. This was also a program that was born out of the pandemic. And it was really because we had a lot of people losing jobs. And then we had a lot of people saying, hey, I need a side hustle. And they started creating their own side hustles. And we're like, you know what? Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Let's talk about how we can hopefully help you sustain that side job and that another stream of income. So for our Employee 402 program, I'll just read our purpose here that we have. It's a job readiness program that we have created to address barriers and provide resources for community members seeking mobility, stability, and ingenuity surrounding employment. Employee 402 provides resources and coaching to build confidence, skills, and knowledge to support participants in reaching their goals to secure and create a profitable work experience. And it was really important for us to put profitable work experience.
Make it, it's worth your time.
It's worth your time. It is worth your time. And it is not just worth your time, but it's also worth your talent. It's worth your treasure, so that you feel successful in your employment journey. And so,
and real quick, with the employment, are we talking like, is it kind of a mixed bag of everything? Or are we getting people in like some of those teaching them some of the blue collar trades, drywall, or you kind of white collar as well? Like what does that kind of look like in terms of you guys training them, trying to get them ready for some of those job opportunities, side gigs?
Yeah. So we deal directly with like barriers. And then we also have some type of training, especially for digital empowerment. Because we know that this world, in order to get a lot of jobs now, you have to have some digital knowledge. And so some of the things that we do is like basic computer skills, navigating the internet, depending on when you're coming in, because we work with a wide range of ages. When we talk about like our Employee 402, our Wholesome Hygiene program, most of our women that we serve through that program are over the age of 35. And so that was also a highlight of that program and an aha moment for that program. We looked at the age demographic because, again, with like hygiene items and basic need items, you think maybe somebody younger is needing that because they're working at some of these jobs that they're not able to afford. But we were actually serving 35 and older. Was our highest age demographic. So learning how to create appropriate like social media profiles and email accounts, develop coding skills. We kind of partner with different people for that, and then develop an employment portfolio. So we do a little bit more with digital programming. And then in regards to like those technical skills, we do not provide those technical skills, but what we'll do is through our job coaching and personal one-on-one coaching that we do through that program, we look for do job searches with them and then identify strengths. And then we also identify resources in other community organizations that will provide some of those technical skills.
I was going to say, you help them with the job search as well, because that's a really big part of it, especially helping them build their resumes on top of it, along with the technical skills, because that, like you said, that's kind of the barrier of entry, unfortunately, for a lot of people.
It is. And then also with the identifying strengths, we came across a lot of people who never really sat down because they're in survival mode, right? Yeah. And so when they come to us and we're talking about, okay, this is what you're doing now, but to create a profitable work experience for you, what do you want to do? And then we had certain people say, well, I don't know. I really don't know what I'm good at. I don't know. And so we will sit down and we'll try to go through and help them identify some strengths they think that they have. And if any of those strengths are things that they want to kind of learn a little bit more about or utilize in regards to a work experience, So for example, you like to talk. Well, do you want to do a podcast? Like, is that something that you want to actually kind of look more into, or is that just something you'd like to do?
Yeah.
And so, we just go through again with that job coaching and that one-on-one experience. What can we identify as a strength? And is there something out there career-wise that you would like to do that will highlight that strength? Because then that will, put you in a position where you are having a better time in your job, right?
And more likely to succeed because you care about it.
And more likely to succeed, yes, because you care about it. And then also more likely for you to develop in that area because you care about it, right? When you're at a job that you were just not having a good time with, your professional development, that is not something that is on the radar because you're just trying to go in, you're trying to just do that and be done. And so when there is something that pops up that may be able to, hey, if you go here, can you go to this conference or can you go to this workshop if you're in one of those types of jobs? You probably don't want to because you're not enjoying what you're doing now. And so I don't want to do anything that, would further keep me here or keep me engaged in this position. So we're about professional development and personal development. And if you're somewhere where you really like it, then you'll take a little bit more interest in your professional and personal development as well. And so that's important for us, for them to understand their personal strength. We do job preparedness as well. So, like resume building,
Mm-hmm.
and if something requires a cover letter. And then we also do mock interviews. We have some women who have just been out of this environment in regards to job searching for a very long time. They're coming back in. And so we do mock interviews. We talk about networking and the importance of networking. That's one of the hardest things. And I have to say, when I was in college and we used to have to network, I know for me that was just, oh, that
Yeah,
was
I'm the
just
same.
so hard.
It's a it's a hard
It
thing
is
for a lot of people, I
it is
think.
such a hard thing, and just understanding the importance of, I'm a type of person, you ask me a question, I'm just gonna answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And with networking, you can't just answer the question. Like, how was your day? Oh, it was really good. I went to work and I did this. Networking is like, oh, it was really good. I did this, but my dog, oh my gosh, I had to go home and
I need to
and
write this
yeah,
down. I'm
I
a little
had
bit
to,
of you.
yeah. Oh, my dog, they did this, and my kids, and then somebody's, oh, you have a dog. What type of dog do you have? Do you have a lab?
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes it somewhere else, and all of a sudden you realize that you have all these things in common. But I used to be the person that's like, oh yeah, no, I went to work, went home, it was good. And so that's just terrible for networking. And so we work with different groups, even our youth, on the importance of networking. And even though it's like really, really hard, how do you do it? Can you get to a point where you are utilizing, yourself, who you are, almost your brand, to make connections? And you have to do that through networking. So we have that. We also have financial literacy. That is something that we desperately need. When we were talking about mobility, stability, and ingenuity, what we mean by that is mobility means like you're in a job, but you want to move up and you don't know how, right? You want to move up to a different level, but maybe you don't have the credentials yet or the certifications. And so you come to us and we help you identify, okay, well, you need this certification, you need this permit. Let's see what we can do to help you get to that next level in your job. Stability, I don't have a job and I need one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to get to a job. All right, we got you. Let's figure out what we can do. And then that ingenuity is the entrepreneurship piece. And we found that during the pandemic, when everybody was getting, the refund checks and all of that, we were trying to see how can we come in and help people understand what to do with that money, because you may not know where your next dollar is coming from. So I always say it's really important for you to know what to do with the one you got in your hand right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we really needed to figure out, all right, we don't know where tomorrow's money's coming from, but you have some money in your hand right now. So what do we do? Let's look at some financial literacy. Let's look at the needs versus the wants. Let's look at, budgeting, if there is space for you to budget. A lot of people, they may not be able to do that. And so we really focus on the needs versus the wants. And then, like the banking 101, we had a lot of folks who went through that who did not have like a savings account or didn't understand the differences between some types of savings account or checking account. So we were able to, we actually partner with Union Bank and Trust for our financial literacy classes. They come out quarterly and teach just the basic 101 for financial literacy for us.
That's awesome, because you need, especially if you're kind of like trying to get it out of that survival mode. Like, I'm one dude, and when I made my first pie chart of where my money was going and what I was saving, it was horrendous. And that's one person to keep in charge of. Now take it to, say, a mom who's got multiple kids, who's also got the husband who's got bills, dental visits, all that stuff. It's a lot of things to track. And yeah, if you don't have that financial literacy, like even if you give it your best, like it's good to even just have another set of eyes to overcheck things, because it's easy to overlook it. I mean, again, I'm talking about my one self, and I was still missing things left and right. And I have to keep going back, like, oh, I missed that. Oh, shoot, I didn't even put my gas bill in there this time. And like all those things, you do need like a second set of eyes to really identify, okay, this is what I have on my budget. This is how the small amount of room I have to actually get out of this hole. So I think that's huge with the financial literacy part.
Yes, and being able to see, like you said, where your money is going. A lot of us, we don't really track it as well as we should. And you are so right. Once you sit down, you're like, oh man, I spent way too much going out to eat today. Or this month. That is like the
shout out Casey's. Like, oh, that one hurt my gut looking at how much those pizzas are so good. But yeah, they'll rack up at the end of the month.
They do. They really do. And then when you look at $10 here and there, that stacks up.
Yeah.
That stacks up. So all them Target runs where I'm like, I only spent $15, but I've gone 15 times this month to spend $15. So we were able to just, sit down. We provide them with budget books. And so they have the ability to sit down, and it's guided. And so they can write out, well, here are the things that you're spending on. Is it necessary? And then we talk about a need versus a want. There is an emotional component that comes into that as well. We talked, I think, a couple of weeks back when we were talking about youth development and connecting with families and trying not to judge a family that buys their child the new pair of shoes, but their financial situation and they're not able to. They're receiving help and resources, and there is an emotional component to that. That might be a need for them. I need to do this because if my child does not have these things when they go to school, that leads to bigger problems. The bullying aspect and them not feeling like they're worthy, them not showing up in class all the way because they have now all these other distractions. And that's the way that I show my child that I am trying. And so we do walk through the emotional component of trying to figure out what is a need and what is just a want. And is it something that we can detach from emotionally so that we can get to the point where you are, able to do some of the things that you want to do? Or is this something that is extremely important? And we honor, the emotional part of it as well, and the sentimental attachment to it, while also explaining, okay, then this is the next layer that we have to go to, or a different road or path that we have to go down if you feel like this is something that is a need. It's not necessarily a want in your life, because we have different needs and wants depending on the families. And so it's not a one-stop shop. It's not just telling everybody that's not what you need, that's not what you want. It's allowing them some of the autonomy plus education to be able to tell us what is important for their family and how to sustain their family, and then for us to say, hey, this is how we can support you.
Absolutely. And before we go to break, I want to ask you if there's anything else you want to wrap up on this subject, because you are wearing the Nebraska gear and you were at the game yesterday. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that since we'll only have like 3 minutes on the last segment anyway. So anything before we leave this subject, anything you want to finish on?
Oh, no, just that, again, with the Employee 402 program, that is something if you want to take advantage of, that is also on our website where you can go and look at that program and all that we have. If you know of anybody that you think would benefit from some of this coaching and work, please go to our website. Again, that's ywcalincoln.org.
Absolutely. We'll throw it to our last break here. Don't go anywhere. The YWCA Hour.
This is the YWCA Hour with your hosts, YWCA Executive Director Karen Belt and YWCA Associate Director Maisha Essex.
All right, welcome back in. This is the YWCA Hour, the W, here with the host, Maisha Essex, to my left. To wrap things up, I mentioned it before. We got Maisha in the Husker gear. She was at the game yesterday versus UTEP, the big win, 47. First time Nebraska goes 1-0 since 2019, which is hard to believe. But Maisha, how was the game experience?
It was great. Like I said, everybody there, the energy. I love going to a Nebraska game because of the fans and the energy there and everybody, coming to support. It was hot. I just have to say, it was ridiculously hot. We went to halftime, and you go in there and like everybody's sitting on the floor outside of the concession stands trying to just get away from the heat because it was just hot. I applaud the players and everybody that has to be on that field.
Yeah, when we have games like that, it does make me think, I'm like, maybe it's okay if we wait on the alcohol at Memorial Stadium, because when it's that hot, you got a bunch of people drinking on top of it. That's when that's when you're dropping like flies.
Well, I mean, the heat, but then just some of the energy that'll make you want to wait on that as well.
It's a good thing it's not here for Colorado, because that one's gonna have a lot of intensity to get to it.
It is, but Lincoln has a lot of places that'll make that you can go around, in the tailgates that you can go around and get it there. So
that is true. You usually see a trail of shooters on the ground on the walk to Memorial Stadium.
On the walk to Memorial Stadium.
So is that the first game? How many games have you been to so far?
I think this is like my third or fourth game that I've been to.
Okay, what's the best game you've been to? Because it's been tough in the past. I should ask, when's the first game you went to? And that's going to give me a better idea if this is a good answer.
I believe it was Illinois. Was the first game.
You know what year?
No, that was a while ago. It was 2017, 2016.
Okay, 2017? I couldn't tell you for sure. But okay, so unfortunately, the reason I was asking, 2018 was when Scott Frost got here. Did we win? I think we probably lost that one, didn't we?
I think we lost. Yeah.
How many games have we won and lost while you were there? Because we've won one.
Well, we won yesterday. That was good. I would say, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't want to. It might have been just yesterday that I went to. The first game, though, it was like I said, it was a great experience. I brought my little brother, And what I can say about the response of Memorial Stadium when they think a little person is lost is amazing.
Really?
Yes, my little brother went and walked around. And I was like, okay, just go right there. And then it had been like, and so I go and I look for him and they were on it. Scrip's like, well, what are you doing? Are you looking for? I'm like, oh, my little brother. And they got ready to, I was like, no.
Start a search party.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I was like, please, I cannot explain it to my mother. Please do not shut this down. Like they were on it. So I have to say the security, they're on it. Good job. Great. He just had I was like, no, he just went to the bathroom. But he was like, I went over there. So he walked to I don't know. He was like 12 or 13. So he decided to go to the bathroom and walk somewhere else. But no, it was just I've always had great experience. I love. Oh, that was the best game. It was either last season or the season before. I went to the senior game, the senior night, and that was really, really fun.
Yeah, senior night's always fun. They have a few more bells and whistles they throw in there for you.
They do.
A few more cool people they'll bring out during intermissions and
yes,
so, shout out.
That was really, really great.
Yeah, the one I always go back to as we wrap things up here is McNeese State. It was my first Husker game. If people remember that one, this is Bo Pelini. We almost found a way to lose to McNeese State. And Amir Abdullah said, let me just break 7 tackles, run into the end zone, and win the game. And if you listen to his press conference after, he was not happy. He had to do that to go ahead and win the game. But we're going to wrap things up here one more time. Maisha, how can they find the YWCA if they want to offer help?
Yes, you can always come and visit us. We are located at 5631 South 48th Street, Suite 410, or you can visit us through our website, ywcalincoln.org, or follow us on social media, YWCA Lincoln.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap it up for us. Join us again next week. Up next, Bills Thrills. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling.